You think you know these characters. You laughed with them, cried for them, watched them overcome the impossible. But what if they weren't supposed to survive? Behind Disney's magic and happily ever afters lie scripts you were never meant to see. Drafts where beloved heroes met tragic ends. Some deaths were too dark, others too real, but they all reveal a deeper truth. These characters almost died, and it would have changed everything. Disney is known for pushing emotional limits. From Bambi's mother to Mufasa, we've seen the studio pull no punches when it comes to death. But even in worlds filled with magic carpets and talking toys, mortality looms larger than we think. And sometimes, it comes down to a single scene being cut, or one executive saying, "No, that's too far." These are 9 Disney characters who were originally meant to die, and how their survival changed the story, the legacy, and the way we remember them forever. Before Ariel saved her father, he was already gone. In early drafts of The Little Mermaid, Ursula doesn't just strike a deal with Ariel.
Think I want to see my youngest daughter snared by some fish-eater's hook?
I'm 16 years old. I'm not a child.
Don't you take that tone of voice with me, young lady.
She kills King Triton in cold blood. The Sea King sacrifices himself for his daughter. But in this version, there's no magical resurrection, no last-minute reversal. He dies, permanently. This death would have added a Shakespearean weight to the ending. Ariel would have had to fight Ursula while grieving, carry her father's crown into the future, and learn that freedom often comes with unbearable cost. But test audiences found the ending too brutal, so Disney rewrote the climax. Triton survives. Ariel gets her voice and her father back. And while the ending still hits, it no longer scars. Still, for a moment, Disney was prepared to let The Little Mermaid end in a funeral under the sea. He's funny, loud, and one of the most beloved sidekicks in Disney history. But Mushu's journey almost ended in silence. In an early version of Mulan, Mushu wasn't comic relief. He was a disgraced spirit trying to regain honor, and his death was his redemption. In one particularly somber draft, Mushu sacrifices himself to save Mulan in the climactic battle. No jokes, no one-liners, just a broken spirit proving he was still worthy. It was poetic, even powerful, but not very marketable. Executives worried that killing the main comic relief would leave audiences too shattered, so the sacrifice was scrapped, and Mushu lived on, not as a tragic figure, but as an unforgettable dragon with Eddie Murphy's voice. But imagine for a moment, a Mulan where the only one who didn't return home was her guardian. This one almost made it to the screen. In the final cut of Tangled,
Through together, you don't trust me? Ouch.
Flynn Rider, or Eugene, is stabbed by Mother Gothel. He dies in Rapunzel's arms, but she heals him with a single tear. It's emotional but hopeful. What you didn't see? In the original storyboard, he doesn't come back. The directors considered ending Tangled with Flynn's death, leaving Rapunzel heartbroken but free. A bittersweet tale about finding yourself through pain. It mirrored classic fairy tales more than Disney norms. But after test screenings, the studio opted for a more uplifting ending. They feared killing Flynn would tarnish the film's rewatchability and crush young audiences. Still, remnants of the original scene exist. Watch closely and you'll see how long they linger on Flynn's lifeless body. That moment wasn't edited for comfort. It was held, because for a long time that was going to be the end. He's plastic, he's fabulous, and he was supposed to die in fire. When Pixar first mapped out Toy Story 3, the incinerator scene was going to be the final act for several characters, including Ken. Unlike the others who would have been saved in the final seconds, Ken was going to fall behind. Burned, melted, gone. Why? Because early drafts painted Ken as a full-blown villain, a manipulative narcissist who deserved comeuppance. But as the story evolved, so did Ken's role. He became comic relief, a diva with depth, and his death felt cruel, not cathartic. So Pixar rewrote the escape sequence. All toys survive. The flames remain, but so does hope. Still, if you look at the tone of that scene, you'll realize, for a split second, Pixar wanted us to think our childhoods were about to end in ash. But even those stories weren't Disney's darkest, because in the second half of this list, we're stepping into territory where death wasn't just an option. It was the point of the character, and the ones who lived, they left something behind. He trained heroes. He believed in Hercules before anyone else did.
People would say, "That's Phil's boy." That's right.
And in one of Disney's scrapped endings, Phil dies proving he was right. In early outlines of Hercules, the final battle with the Hydra was not meant to be Hercules' solo moment. Instead, Phil fights alongside him and gets fatally wounded in the process. His death was written to mirror Greek tragedies, a wise mentor making the ultimate sacrifice so the hero can ascend. It echoed the death of Obi-Wan in Star Wars, a loss that leaves the protagonist changed forever. But the studio shifted away from the darker tone. Phil, voiced by Danny DeVito, had become a fan favorite. Killing him felt unnecessary, and frankly too emotionally intense for a film aimed at kids. So he lived. And instead of a tragic farewell, we got a comedic kiss with a muse. But behind that humor was once a funeral pyre. The Snow Queen was born to die. In Hans Christian Andersen's original tale, the Snow Queen is an emotionally distant figure who eventually fades, not from violence but from meaning. She disappears as the young heroine finds her strength. Disney's earliest drafts of Frozen carried echoes of this ending. Elsa was imagined as a full-blown villain, and the movie's climax? Anna defeats her, and Elsa dies, consumed by her own powers. But during development, something unexpected happened. As the creative team began exploring Elsa's character more deeply, especially her isolation, shame, and fear, they realized she wasn't a villain. She was a metaphor for anxiety, repression, being different. Killing her would have been symbolic, but devastating. So they rewrote her arc into one of self-acceptance. Let It Go wasn't just a song, it saved Elsa's life. And in doing so, Disney turned what could have been a cold-blooded ending into a cultural reset. This one did die, but not the way Disney planned.
Both eyes open.
Kocoum, the stoic warrior who's meant to marry Pocahontas, dies in the final version of the film. But what many fans don't know is that his death was meant to be far more graphic. In early storyboards, Kocoum dies protecting Pocahontas from English settlers in a scene designed to mirror the violent colonization of indigenous lands. Arrows fly, guns roar, and Kocoum dies a brutal, drawn-out death in Pocahontas' arms, a tragic casualty of two worlds colliding. But the scene was considered too intense for a PG-rated film. Animators were asked to tone down the blood. The final version is still heartbreaking, but far less raw. Still, the ghost of that original scene lingers. Watch closely and you can feel the restraint. The story Disney almost told. Because Kocoum wasn't just a love rival, he was a symbol of what colonization destroyed. Woody's brush with death wasn't just emotional, and it was almost permanent.
Plans? I'll have old Buzz Lightyear to keep me company.
During Toy Story 2's chaotic production, multiple script versions were in circulation. And in one of them, Woody is lost in the airport luggage system and never found. Yeah, the film was originally going to end with Buzz and the gang failing to rescue Woody. Instead, he would be shipped to a museum in Tokyo, lost forever. A tragic reminder that even the most loyal toys can be forgotten. The scene was meant to mirror real-life abandonment, of childhood dreams, of growing up, of the parts of ourselves we don't save in time. But John Lasseter and the team at Pixar pushed back. The ending was rewritten to be redemptive. Woody is saved. The gang returns home, and the lesson becomes one of unity, not loss. Still, that early draft reveals how close Disney came to making Toy Story 2 a tragedy, one where the cowboy never comes home. But one story stands out from the rest. A character Disney actually killed, put in the final version of the film, and then quietly erased after fans couldn't handle it. The truth behind character number 9 isn't just about death.
Think of this, I'm a horrible father. No, I am.
It's about the power of undoing death when audiences cry out loud enough. This one actually happened. In the original ending of Chicken Little, Buck Cluck, Chicken Little's emotionally distant father, dies in a dramatic alien attack while protecting his son. It was a dark, sudden twist meant to give Chicken Little a full-circle arc. His father, who had spent most of the movie doubting him, finally believes in him, and pays the ultimate price. The storyboards show Buck shielding his son from a laser blast. No comedy, no music, just silence. The scene was animated, scored, nearly final. But when Disney tested it, something unexpected happened. Audiences hated it. It wasn't just sadness, it was betrayal. Buck had just started making things right. Taking him away felt cruel. Viewers didn't want Chicken Little to grow stronger through grief. They wanted healing. They wanted reconciliation. So Disney rewrote it. Buck survives. The ending becomes a goofy, feel-good alien reunion. But if you look closely at the tone shift in the final 10 minutes, from suspenseful to absurd, it's because a death scene was literally cut out and replaced. And it shows the strange truth of animated storytelling. Sometimes even death can be edited out. These weren't just deleted scenes, they were emotional crossroads, moments where characters could have been martyrs or memories, where stories could have ended in heartbreak or hope. And in each case, a choice had to be made. Keep the emotional weight or soften the blow. Stay true to tragedy or choose the fairy tale. What's fascinating is that Disney can handle death. It always has. But these near deaths reveal the tightrope the studio walks, between art and audience, between the stories we need and the ones we can handle. Because maybe the real reason these characters survived is that we weren't ready to lose them. Which of these near deaths shocked you the most? And do you think the stories would have been stronger if they'd gone through with it? Let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you want more untold truths from the world of animation, from hidden lore to emotional character arcs, subscribe to Hidden Behind the Screen, because the next story might change how you see your favorite film forever.